But again, there is an interaction taking place with those storms moving up into the main circulation. Don't let your guard down. This is getting much closer to Highway 69 right now. Let's do another track from this part of the storm. We'll take this east for about 30 minutes. And again, toward Rocklahoma, maybe tip just after midnight, straying at 12:09, Spavinaw 12:14, on toward Grand Lake. So we're talking Langley, Tijuana, Kenwood, the Clearwater Bay Marina by 12:21. I know a lot of people are up at the lakes because it is a holiday weekend. So continue to help us get the warning out. Call them. I know it is 11:54, but if you've got friends, relatives camping, or at a lake house that might not be watching TV right now, give them that update that we've got a tornado in Mays County, and it's not that far from Lake Hudson, Spavinaw, Uchi, or Grand Lake. Of course, that's going to be the most populated lake. As we look again, the rotation looks like it may slightly be weakening a bit, but this is still a dangerous storm. Meteorologist Mike Grogan and I have been watching this. Meteorologist Michaela Smith, too, as we continue to watch this move. Again, now in Mays County, northeast of Pryor, it looks like this has at least diminished a tiny bit, but as Greg said, continues to be fairly strong, too. Again, if this will lift to the north, we could see what happened in Osage County with a new circulation developing in the storm too, so that's something we'll keep a close eye on. That if we get a new circulation developing, it might be a little closer to Pryor. We're still, looking at radar right now. We might be seeing the new circulation starting to form northeast of Pryor. Let's check in with Mike. Mike, what do you see here?
Well, I've drawn on a storm track for the current tornado that will take it over Rocklahoma by 12 o'clock, and then the Pensacola. We're getting into the south sides of Grand Lake here, so that's kind of the time frame, 12:18 towards Spavinaw. But I do want to take a closer look at that new circulation, as that is just starting to develop there on the northeast sides of Pryor. Undoubtedly in Pryor, you're getting some heavy winds right now, and that new circulation would be just north of Highway 20, and it would likely be on the same path. Now, here's the current tornado. It's north of Highway 20 by a few more miles, and its path is east, maybe just slightly north of east. So unless that wobbles to the south, that would likely bypass to the north. But there is still a distinct tornado right there, and it's still close enough to Pryor. I would be watching this very closely and in your safe spot. And in addition to that, the east side of this might be the new organization of a possible, well, certainly a circulation, and one that could eventually become a tornado. Just indicating still more debris in a pretty broad swath there to the northwest of Pryor. And then just the wider view shows the movement, and it's mostly east, but occasionally it wobbles a little bit north or south. And the warning takes us all the way to the county line of Delaware County. This warning is until 12:15 in the morning. And I just, once again, there's our circulation. It's just about 4 or 5 miles to the northwest, west-northwest of Pryor, moving in a mostly easterly direction. So Highway 69, within about 5 to 10 minutes, this will be crossing the path. A lot of folks are traveling this. Please, if you know anybody that might be up and down in this in Mays County, to have them make sure they are not in their vehicle and seeking a safe spot. This continues this way eastward. I do want to point out we have another tornado-warned cell, not in the Fox 23 viewing area yet, but it will be riding along the Oklahoma-Kansas line, approaching far northwestern Osage County and western Chautauqua County with time. So this is just your heads up in case you're watching us from this area. Another powerful supercell has formed and is moving eastward, so we'll continue to follow that a little bit more closely with time. If you are in the path of a tornado, if you are in Pryor or other portions of Mays County, Delaware County, you need to be prepared, if not already, in the lowest floor, most interior space of your house. Shoes, helmets, pillows, blankets, all things that protect your body after and during a possible tornado. That is what is key to keeping yourself as safe as possible. Our storm teams are out monitoring this, and we'll check back in with them in a moment. But for now, I'm going to turn it back over to James as he's continuing to monitor both circulations, both tornado potentials in Mays County.
Yeah, as we look on the wide view, again, watching for Chautauqua County, because we do have a tornado warning in Cowley County, as you mentioned, Mike, but that could be moving into parts of western Chautauqua County, still half hour away. But if you're in Cedarvale and Sedan, we need to watch this closely. No threat at all in Tulsa, thankfully. And we look into Mays County, and our original rotation, as Mike said, decreasing pretty quickly, but perhaps seeing a new one trying to form to the southeast of Pryor right now. So the original circulation, thankfully, much, much weaker just to the north of Highway 20. New circulation looks like it may be trying to form to the southeast of Pryor. That's north of Highway 69A. This is the view on the left side of your screen from Fox 23 Storm Tracker Joseph Tyree. And you can see quite a bit of tree damage. There's been a lot of tree debris thrown into some of these county roads that he's been traveling on. But that would be the new circulation trying to form here, basically toward the east of Pryor. Now, interestingly, a little earlier, it looked like we were seeing a clockwise rotation, and we still kind of are on the north side of the main rotation here. So we've got one rotation spinning counterclockwise, maybe a little bit of rotation back the other way. Let's check what was the circulation that caused the tornado in Claremore and all the way to the north of Northeast Tech's campus, and it has nearly diminished. We may see a bunch of debris being unloaded. Probably have already seen that from correlation coefficient, but this was a major tornado hit in Rogers County and in western parts of Mays County. So watching very closely here, we might be seeing that new circulation trying to spin up to the east of Pryor. Let's take a look. Starting to get some brighter reds in here too, so that's not a good sign. Right in here, getting a little bit more of a circulation. So that's Highway 20. Again, we're looking just to the north of Highway 20. That's where the original circulation moves. So that would be northeast of Pryor and northwest of Snowdale State Park. And new circulation starting to form right in this area. And you can see not a lot of detail as we look at that on high-resolution Doppler radar and reflectivity. Not seeing a whole lot of depiction here that we've got hook or debris up in the radar signal. So we may be at a point where this storm's taking a little bit of a breather, but we have had significant damage from west of Claremore through Claremore and all the way to the northwest of Pryor. We may be seeing a new circulation trying to form between Pryor and Salina, basically north still of Highway 20. Let me zoom in again with this as we look on the west side of your screen. Tell me where Joseph is with this shot.
He is still back.
Okay, he's still in Rogers County in the looking for some of that damage, but might be seeing a new circulation form. This is Highway 20, and we're looking east of Pryor. We can give the all clear now west of Highway 69, but we are still watching very closely in Cowley County, Kansas, as that one gets close to Chautauqua County. Our storm center coverage continues on KRMG right now with our radio partners. Mays County, a storm center county for them. So we're watching this. Notice we're starting to pick up some brighter reds in here too. Latest severe thunderstorm warning is for northern parts of Osage County because of the Cowley County storm, which is, as we take a little closer look at this one, close to Silverdale. We still have rotation. There's still a tornado warning in effect in Cowley County until 12:45, and we're going to watch this as it gets closer to Cedarvale and perhaps the northwestern corner of Osage County. We're still 15 to 20 minutes away from that, moving our way. Let's take another close-in view in Mays County. Again, north of Highway 20 and just to the northwest of Salina. And we'll expand the view. I want to give you an updated storm track with the new circulation here because that has formed a little bit further east from the old one. So this may be moving a little faster onto parts of Delaware County. You can see very close to Snowdale State Park, probably just north of Snowdale, Salina, Houdow, Wycliffe School, Kenwood, Bull Hollow, Uchi. And if this holds together for 30 more minutes, we're talking over toward J and hitting Highway 59 in Delaware County. So nighttime tornado, help us out. A lot of people have already gone to bed. Call them as ahead of this. We're talking Salina, Spavinaw, all the way over to J. Let them know that we've got this tornado that is potentially an issue for them. It doesn't look like we've got a tornado down with it right now, but a little bit of an increase in circulation taking place again just to the northwest of Salina. This is our storm tracker on the left side of your screen that continues to drive into some of the storm damage in Rogers County. There is the circulation trying to reform now just to the northwest of Salina. This is getting stronger too. So again, this thing looks like it took a little bit of a breath, but may be forming that new circulation. That's not what anybody wants to see. This is just to the northwest of Salina. So we're not out of the woods yet. And of course, we're watching the Cowley County storm as it moves up a little closer to Chautauqua County. We'll do a track on it coming up in just a few minutes. But that's some stronger and stronger rotation just to the northwest of Salina. And this might be spinning up another tornado. Let's check in with meteorologist Mike Grogan.
Yeah, we're watching this very closely. These storms are responding to the low-level winds that have really enhanced over the region, and that adds the spin to the atmosphere. You can see the path of the storm has been paralleling Highway 20 since Rogers County. It continues almost due east, and that puts that new circulation very close to Salina. We just showed you this. Strong rotation, north side of Highway 20, really on the north sides of Salina, between there and the community of Tip and Hoot Owl. This will continue through that area, right very close to the Wycliffe School. So anyone in this zone that I'm showing you, basically to the east of that line, basically you need to be in your shelter right now. This is a serious situation as this supercell has produced a strong tornado, likely could produce another given the environment that we're in at the moment. There's the leading edge of the heavy rain and also the wind. There is likely some large hail ongoing, perhaps up to the size of even golf balls. I'm going to just throw on the product here that showcases the potential hail size. And radar indicates that near Salina, we're getting estimates of 1.2 inches in diameter. So that's larger than quarters, closer to $half size hail, enough to cause damage. Certainly not something you want to be driving in or nearby, of course. That's the hail. There's the circulation yet again. It continues to be strong and moving almost due east. That would put Kenwood and a few other locations in the path. And by the way, we're still keeping an eye on that storm nearing Chautauqua County and far northwestern Osage County. So that's your heads up. It is a pretty intense storm that will continue to move right along the Oklahoma-Kansas line. Tornado watch continues till 5 o'clock in the morning. We've got a long ways to go, though we will likely start to see the trend downward once we get probably beyond that one supercell continuing its way eastward. Most of the area is quiet. If you're watching us from Tulsa, we are in the watch, but at this point, we don't have a storm coming in. No significant threats. That threat continues to be confined to Mays, Delaware County, and also portions of Chautauqua and now northern Osage County. So if you are in a tornado warning, your tips are right here. You've probably done this maybe once before already this season. It has been a very busy one, but we continue to watch the circulation tightening northwest of Salina. And with that, we're going to go back over to Chief Meteorologist James Adelot. We also have Greg McLaughlin, who's very close to it, so we might check in with him in just a moment.
All right, I want to show you what this looks like with high-resolution Doppler radar, because it looks like we've got another tornado spinning up now just to the north of Salina. Take a look, and we're looking right in here. I'm going to actually drop the radar because we're getting close to being right over the lake right now. So you can see just northwest of Salina, that puts the circulation just to the southwest of Hoot Owl, but we're talking right on top of the lake, so right on top of Lake Hudson here. Not obviously lofting debris, but there's the hook and there's the increase now in velocity right on top of the lake. This is going to, all right, let's check in. Do we have Greg on the phone?
Yeah, yes, James, I'm here right now. I'm crossing the lake on Highway 20. I've got very intense rotating rain bands just to my north. I have seen a couple power flashes. So we may, if we don't have a tornado in progress, it is very, very close. And again, it looks like it's going to track just maybe on the north side of Salina. I'm almost across the lake now. And I don't see any definitive funnel or anything. I don't have a lot of lightning with this at the moment, but for a second I could see very intense rotating rain curtains. And it looked like there was rotating, kind of the scud tags around the edge of that circulation. So it is definitely picking up that rotation again.
All right, this is right on top of Lake Hudson, moving toward the Hoot Owl area on the northeast shore of Lake Hudson. That's going to be very close to the Wycliffe School on Highway 20, toward Kenwood, toward Tag Flats, Bull Hollow, Uchi, and again, if this holds together, all the way over to Highway 59 between Little Kansas and maybe all the way up to the community of Jay in central parts of Delaware County. So, as Greg said, tornado occurring right now just to the north of Salina. It looks like this is going to stay barely to the north of Salina too, but we're moving now onshore, and we do have a little bit of a lowering in correlation coefficient as it moves onshore right in here. A little too inconclusive to say for sure, but I think we've got another tornado down north of Salina. So a new tornado warning will likely be extended further east into parts of Delaware County from this storm. So this new circulation just to the northeast of Salina right now, and that is the way it looks on velocity. We'll get another update with velocity data here, but anybody along Highway 20 between Wycliffe School and Salina. Okay, let's take a look at high-resolution Doppler radar too. As we look right into this, and it looks like this is now on the east side of the lake, but that's a big bloom in CC. We just got that update in. Fox 23 and Michaela Smith watching this closely too. So we have debris being lofted up into the radar signal right now north of Salina. So meteorologist Mike Grogan, I'm going to ask you to do an updated storm track on this, and I'll shoot another note out on social media that we've got a new tornado happening just to the north of Salina.
Yeah, that's right. I'll go ahead and show you where that debris is located. It's just north of Highway 20. It's likely going to be paralleling it. So basically north sides of Salina over towards Wycliffe and the Wycliffe School area. This is where we need you to be taking cover, because this is now a confirmed tornado. Yet again, the circulation prior to now has gone away. But now we are left with the new tornado. Strong supercells like these tend to cycle, and this is the new cycle that we're dealing with right now. I'm going to go ahead and put on the path here as it's moving to the east at about 40-45 miles per hour or so. Next up, beyond the Wycliffe School will be Kenwood, 1221. Bull Hollow by 1228. If you're watching us from Uchi, 1231. And there's our new tornado warning drawn on as a confirmed tornado. All the way, that warning will take us almost over to Concord, Little Kansas, and it does bend down a little bit, so even including parts of Highway 412 there in Delaware County. So this will continue to Jay by 1238 and the Sycamore area by 1234. So we need you to be in your safe spots if you are within this warning right now, especially within the path I've drawn. That has been the most consistent movement of this storm. Let's go ahead and go to the overall reflectivity and the movement of this. It continues rather quickly to the east. Highway 20 finally bends northward right here, so it's finally going to kind of move off of that, but right continuing its easterly path towards Kenwood and into Delaware County within about 15, probably 10 minutes really, as this is a rapid mover. And there is our defined rotation, our velocities showcasing strong winds blowing into the storm right here and then away from it. And that's still just on the north sides of Salina. Salina, you're getting some strong winds, but the actual tornado is going to be a few miles to the north, right over Wycliffe right now, or at least very close to the school coming into that as we speak. Correlation coefficient defines that debris right there, basically adjacent to Highway 20, and this will likely continue right towards the Wycliffe School area. If you are in Salina, this is just so close, I'd stay in your shelter. The newest update puts the debris now crossing over Highway 20. All right, Greg's got an update for us. You're driving right through this. What do you have, Greg?
Yeah, I'm on Highway 20 on that north bend on the north side of Salina. It's pretty sketchy, I got to say. I'm in the outer circulation of this tornado. There's all kinds of branches falling down around me, so right now I'm actually just trying to get clear of all that so I don't have debris falling on my vehicle. But right now I've got a very stout north wind, so that means that circulation is right behind me. I kind of skirted the back edge of it. In fact, at one point, I was underneath that tail cloud, and you could see that rotation, you know, those vortex fingers feeding this thing. So, in my opinion, this is a stout tornado that has formed already because there's a lot of tree damage down, and it's got a pretty large wind field surrounding it right now.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying we see that wind field is pretty broad, but also strong on radar. So confirming what you're seeing in person there. You said tree debris. Anything else that you've seen? Any structural damage?
No, just the tree debris so far, fortunately, and I really haven't hung out to find out because, you know, being on the edge of this tornadic circulation is just a bit harrowing, so I'm trying to get out of it. What I do have a lot of trees down here now. In fact, I may be done. Let's see if I can get through this.
Gotcha.
I've got several large branches that have fallen down here across Highway 20. Again, this is north of Salina. And I'm almost back to that bend to the east. I'm kind of going through a S-curve here, but a lot of tree damage. I'm trying to see if there's any damage to the houses here. I mean, from what I can see, the structures are still standing. Wow, that wind is insane right now. Wow. The good news is that I haven't seen any destroyed structures or anything like that. It's all tree damage, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. And again, I've got more trees blocking the way. I'm kind of having to drive around stuff, taking the entire road to get through here because there's a lot of down trees. So it's going to be quite a bit of pickup along Highway 20. This goes all the way back to basically Keatonville Hill to here. There's been, you know, damage all up and down, you know, Highway 20 here as this thing is basically parallel it this entire time.
That's right, Greg. And we're noticing the debris is on the south side of Highway 20, pretty close to where it bends back to the north again. So that's where we have the tornado. So you're paralleling it very closely as we speak.
Yeah, and as you guys have mentioned, you know, these tornadoes sometimes will hook back to the left late in their life cycle. And I'm kind of in that spot where it could hook back. So once I get around this corner, I'm going to hold up and kind of see if I can give this thing a little bit of breathing room before I continue east. But yeah, it's definitely, I can tell it's just to my southeast right now.
All right, thank you, Greg. And once again, it's a tough area to spot a tornado, very forested, very hilly. And if Greg can't get his full eyes on it, that means you can't easily as well. So we want you to be sheltering, not out looking for this. Latest debris signature puts it just once again on that little eastern spur of Highway 20, just right basically about on the road there. So by the way, on the left-hand side of your screen, that's Joseph Tyree. We don't have Greg's shot right at the moment. So what you're watching is he's checking out some of the damage that has occurred earlier in portions of Rogers County. And we'll check back in with him a little later. But the immediate concern is this tornado that is very close to the Wycliffe School area. Back to the reflectivity, we're getting a big signature for hail as well, just on the north side of that circulation, basically the north side of that tornado, and that extends into Delaware County. So anyone in Delaware County, be prepared. This is leaving very close to the Wycliffe School right now and will continue its way eastward with time. Back to the debris. We're still seeing that where the blue dropout is here, and that is co-located with our very strong rotation, which just adds to the confidence we have a tornado still at this moment. It may not be quite as strong here, but as Greg mentioned, these kind of bend sometimes to the north. So Wycliffe School, this is probably right on top of you as we speak. If you're in Spavinaw, this is to your south by several miles. I would be in your shelter, as if it does take a northward turn, you would be more in the trajectory of this. But we are looking at a few miles from Delaware County, and from there it will start to impact the communities downstream of that. So thank you, Greg, for that update. Please chime in if you see any other updates. At the moment, though, I'm going to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist James Adelot with another update here.
Yeah, I wanted to show you the path of this rotation. We'll go back to high-resolution Doppler radar, and where we have the brightest white, that is the path of the debris that was lofted up into the radar signal. So this started west of Claremore. Let me zoom in, and I'll show you kind of right where we started getting some of that debris in the radar signal, close to Keatonville, right along Highway 20, curving right through Claremore. So we had debris and confidence that we had that tornado there too. And then kind of curving just to the north of Highway 20, back to the northeast just a bit, straight east into parts of Mayes County, and then weakened before it made it up into the Pryor area. So as we look also further to the east, you can see with the new circulation, the new tornado warning, there's the path here. Started just to the north of Pryor, crossed Highway 20, where Greg McLaughlin was on the storm, and now has moved into parts of eastern Mayes County. Now, as we look at reflectivity, let me get this back for you. And again, strong rotation, as Mike said, just to the southwest of Kenwood now. We look at velocity, and perhaps this is just a little bit weaker than it was just a couple of minutes ago, but it still looks like, excuse me, that we could see a tornado with it too. What's that? Yeah, so there's that strong red indication, bright red into some orange. That's outbound wind. Right next to it, bright green mixing in with blue. This is going to be very close to the community of Kenwood. As we check correlation coefficient, it looks like we are still seeing some debris being lofted up by this. As we take a look at correlation coefficient, and you can see on velocity, yeah, it does look like we've got some debris being lofted. And this is just to the west of Kenwood. So right in this area in Kenwood, you need to take your tornado precautions. This is lofting, confirmed tornado. It's lofting debris up into the radar signal right now. This is moving right over Kenwood Road toward Kenwood. And you can see if this holds together, we're moving up into parts of Delaware County too and getting close to Tag Flats and Bull Hollow. But confirmed tornado just to the west of Kenwood right now. Now earlier we still have a tornado warning in effect for Cowley County for about another 25 minutes and a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Osage County. But I want to show you what that storm looks like too, because as that moves further to the east, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning in northern Osage County. We'll pause the radar loop because we still have the tornado warning with some circulation. This is going to be really close to the Oklahoma-Kansas border, and as it continues moving east, we'll likely move into parts of Chautauqua County, one of our counties. So some rotation close to the state line here in southwestern parts of Cowley County, and as this moves east, it's going to be moving into Chautauqua County and maybe clipping northern parts of Osage County. I have not seen any confirmation that we've had a tornado occurring with this, but the tornado warning is still in effect until 12:45. We'll see if that gets extended into parts of Osage or into parts of Chautauqua County as that circulation continues to move back toward the east, right along the state line. We look into eastern Mays and southwestern parts of Delaware County. Again, this looks like the circulation is just to the north of Highway 412. Let's take a look at velocity. Again, right in the Kenwood area. Here is Highway 412. Little Kansas, Colcord's going to be next in line. At the current track here, this developed just to the north of Salina, and it looks like it's almost moving due east again, so right into Kenwood. So if you're in Kenwood and through central parts of Delaware County, this is your call to take your tornado precautions right now. It does look like the circulation may be just a little bit weaker, but with a history of producing tornadoes like this one has had over the last hour, maybe hour and a half, you still need to be in your tornado safe place as it moves out of Mays County into parts of Delaware County. Again, remember, it will eventually weaken. It's moving into an atmosphere that's not quite as supportive for rotating thunderstorms, but when a storm produces tornadoes, that's an indication it has extremely well organized dynamics, and those are very slow to weaken. So the tornado threat continues into Delaware County right now. At its current path, it will stay north of Highway 412, north of Rose, north of Little Kansas, but moving toward Tag Flats and toward Bull Hollow, which takes it right along County Road 487 as it moves toward the east. So this is still a dangerous storm. It is now out of Mays County. We can give you the all clear in Mays County, but this is continuing to move east into Delaware County right now with the potential that it's going to continue producing a tornado, Mike.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the winds flowing into this storm. Still a strong southeasterly wind, 20 to 30 miles per hour. That's enough to continue a tornado and a circulation with moisture-rich environment flowing into the cell. The parameters for tornadoes drop off as we head eastward, but they're still not dropping off enough to limit the risk here. So therefore, we still expect a tornado right about at Kenwood. You see the hook right there. That's where we have that classic setup for that circulation, which is indicated here right along County Road I believe that's about 48. County Road 487, that is. And this continues to be heading through Kenwood to about Bull Hollow. It's a rather rural area. It's very hilly and tree covered, and Greg McLaughlin may be having a tough time getting an eye on this, but nonetheless, this is going to be a threat and just maybe a hint of still a drop in correlation coefficient that would indicate debris to us. Certainly something of concern as this continues. Tag flats also be in your shelter at this time. I'm going to go back to the circulation. Let's widen the view here just so we can get a better sense of where this will be headed from here, because this is eventually going to be heading towards the Highway 59 region and eventually towards perhaps J or even the Concord area. So we do have a new tornado warning. Let's check back in with this. This might be for our northern cell here, and sure enough, it is. There we are, Chautauqua County. I was just actually heading there next. Let me go. Once again, this is the movement. So if you're in J, Concord, Sycamore, be heading to your shelter right now. This is still a likely tornado, and if it's not on the ground, it could also become a tornado yet again. It's certainly an environment where we could have this. But let's go up to Chautauqua County here. This is moving east at 40, okay, and it looks like it's going to be very close to that Kansas border. So circulation is still right in on Cowley County, but it's just several miles north of Granola, and then just a bit southwest of Cedarvale, moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. Eventually, Hewins are going to be right in the path of this and downward from there. So let's take a look at this path here as it continues its way eastward. Not too far. Well, we will do this off screen here just so we can guarantee a good path is drawn. This will be taking it eastward eventually. Okay, Hewins, you're in the path. 1240, Hendricks by 1248. If you're in Elgin, 1251. Belangerville by 1256, and Chautauqua itself close to 1 o'clock in the morning. With these storms, you may not get a lot of rain before a tornado comes upon you. That's the nature of being at the very southern edge of the path of this storm. The tornado will be about one of the first things you encounter if this is directly heading your way oftentimes. So don't wait for the storm to sound like it's getting bad. Move to the shelter as you see the path right now and the times listed here. That would be when this dangerous circulation could be passing over you. And this is just barely on the north side of the Kansas line, and it could cross back into Oklahoma depending on its wobble. So just be aware of that as well. We have multiple threats out there, though. This is one tornado warning. The next tornado warning is in Delaware County. That continues to be a threat very close to Kenwood, moving in on Bull Hollow. And for another update, we'll send it back over to James.
Yeah, continue to watch this circulation. It is now out of Mayes County into Delaware County and starting to look a lot less organized, too. So just to the east of Kenwood, it looks like that's kind of the center of circulation, but again, starting to get a little bit noisier on radar. That's County Road 504 and 487, close to Bull Hollow. So there's still some rotation taking place with that, but, and again, it looks like on reflectivity, you've got that big hook. But as we talked about a little earlier, when the storm produced the tornado to the west of Claremore, initially, when it was over Owasso and moving east, it had that really skinny hook, and I mentioned that those are oftentimes more alarming from a tornado standpoint than what we're seeing right here with this bigger, broader hook on that storm. As we look again at velocity, don't let your guard down, even though this is a little weaker and a little less organized. This is continuing to move toward the east, and it's now east of Kenwood, so we can give our friends in Kenwood the all clear. It'll take 20 minutes to cross Delaware County and move into Benton County in Arkansas. Bull Hollow, 1229, Cloud Creek at 1238. Concord, you can see that at about 1243, Tonese at 1249. This is a weaker circulation than what we saw a little earlier. On the wide view, we can see we've got tornado watches in effect, Osage, Tulsa County, Wagner County, and into Cherokee and Adair County. We still have our tornado warning in effect in parts of Chautauqua County, too. As we take a look up into that storm, there are another group of storms I want to talk about, too. But here's our tornado warned storm moving into Chautauqua County. Let's zoom into it. as that continues, moving toward the east, Chautauqua County in our coverage area, so we will continue to update you on this too as that moves to the east right along the state line. This is moving at about 45 miles per hour. Ostrow, Hewins, Hendricks, Elgin, Belangerville, that's in northern Osage County, all the way over towards Sedan, almost up to 1 o'clock. Let's take a close-in view of this because, again, it's got a big supercell, big hook, and on velocity, our rotation still continues just about to move out of Cowley County and into Chautauqua County, but that is strong rotation. So it looks like, though, that this will pass just to the south of Cedar Vale and south of Highway 166, and pretty much right along the Oklahoma-Kansas state line. So we're going to watch this really closely. Southern Chautauqua from Highway 166 south, northern parts of Osage County. Thankfully, it's got a ways to go before it gets over to Highway 99. Now, let's look further south now from Tulsa because we've got new strong thunderstorms starting to develop south of Okmulgee, in Okmulgee County, in parts of McIntosh County, and a new strong thunderstorm developing in sections of Pittsburgh County, too. These are not severe, but they've got a chance to become severe. That tornado warning, you just saw the live update now in northern parts of Osage County. This will go all the way over to Bowring, so we're not finished yet. And our KRMG radio partners with Storm Center coverage will continue to watch this storm too in northern parts of Osage County as it moves toward the east at about 45 miles per hour. The circulation in extreme southeastern parts of Cowley County, moving toward Hewins, Hendricks, Elgin, crossing the state line if it holds together and expanding that threat zone out to Belangerville, Chautauqua, Whippoorwill, Washashi State Park, right along Highway 10 and east of Highway 99. So that would be just in the Bowring area, actually just to the east of Bowring too. So that is our other tornado warned storm that continues in effect for northern Osage County. That's going to be in effect until 1:15. For southern parts of Chautauqua County, in effect until 1:30. Let's take a look again at our storms that continue to grow south of Tulsa, right along Highway 270. We'll take these one by one because these also have a chance of becoming severe pretty quickly. Remember, we haven't had any storms here yet, so as these storms move to the northeast, again, they're moving pretty quickly. We'll take these at about 45 miles per hour. First one, moving up into Latimer County and far southern Haskell County, could be near Wilburton at 12:51, Kenta, Leaquire as we get closer to 1 o'clock. Track on the northern couple of storms that we have going up right now in Okmulgee County and parts of McIntosh County. Let's give you an update here. You can see how quickly these have developed. This one's going to be moving over towards Shakota. You need to be ready in Shakota because as this continues to grow, we will likely see new warnings issued here, but we're looking at Lake Eufaula State Park by 12:47. There's Pierce at 12:41, Shakota 12:55, Dutchess Landing, Porham Landing, and Warner as we get closer to about 1 o'clock in the morning. Further to the north, you can see this thunderstorm that's located just south of Morris. That one continuing, maybe taking a little bit more of a northward track toward Hoffman, Hitchita, Eram, Council Hill, Boynton 12:51, Oaktahaw at 1 o'clock. And toward Taft, maybe the Mountain View Fire Department toward Davis Airport, just south of Muskogee. That would be as this storm continues to move to the northeast. Hail may end up being the biggest threat out of that storm too. So as we look, we still have the tornado watch in effect for the northeastern corner of Oklahoma. We have 2 active tornado warnings in effect, one in Mayes County moving into Delaware County, so we can drop Mayes County from that threat. Let me zoom into the storm as it moves across Delaware County right now. And again, we still have pretty strong indications that we've got rotation. Okay, Bull Hollow area again. We've got power flashes. That rotation continues strong, and it's moving even closer to Highway 59, and the rotation would be east of Kenwood. Here's the latest track on that. Let's put that on here from just east of Kenwood. continuing to move toward the east, about 20 more minutes, and then it's into parts of Missouri. This may stay just barely to the north of Highway 116, but this is going to be close. So we're watching closely Taunus and Concord in Delaware County and east of Cloud Creek. A little closer look. So in the Bull Hollow area, that's where we've seen at least some power flashes here. Remember, power flashes don't always mean a tornado, but when you're getting power flashes close to a big hook echo and also close to this velocity indication, it's a pretty good sign that we may have a tornado with it again in parts of Delaware County. So all clear for now in Mays County, but we are watching those thunderstorms south of Tulsa, and if they continue moving toward the northeast, they could become severe pretty quickly as well. It does look like, though, that those will stay to the south and southeast of Tulsa. Tulsa continues to sort of thread the needle, keeping storms to the north, to the northeast, and to the south. Let's check in with meteorologist Mike Grogan. Mike?
Yeah, tracking the supercell that has brought the damage through portions of northeast Oklahoma, continuing to be a threat for that in the southern half of Delaware County. There's a suspicious little hook back here. I was just looking. The rotation, not nearly as apparent, though, as what we have here near Bull Hollow, where we just had that report of power flashes. Not surprised, given the strength of the rotation here. Pretty well defined right over the community of Bull Hollow. This continues its way eastward. Highway 59 will be the next major route that will be affected by this, and eventually this could be putting it near Sycamore, hopefully to the north of Cloud Creek and Concord, but eventually over to the Arkansas state line. But the path in between, at real risk of a tornado, we jump over to correlation coefficient just to see what we've got here. Co-located with that, not a distinct sign of debris lofted, but that may occur in the next scan or two, something that we're going to watch very closely. Meanwhile, we have our tornado warning ongoing for Chautauqua County. This is also in northern Osage County till about 1:15 in the morning. That circulation is just straddling the state line. That's why we have two separate warnings, one issued by the National Weather Service in Wichita, one issued by the Tulsa office, and this would put it very northern section of Tallgrass Prairie, not too far from Hewins. Latest look at rotation, still apparent, still seems to me fairly broad, right on the Kansas and Oklahoma line here, just southwest of Hewins by a few miles, and this is moving east, maybe just a hair south of east, but if you're in Hendricks or Chautauqua, be heading to your safe shelter right now. This could certainly get a bit stronger moving over this environment. This will be eventually heading over to... Okay. All right, so just as I mentioned earlier, there might be debris. We can go right back to there. The latest signature on radar, still quite a strong circulation, and as we jump back to correlation coefficient, yep, right there, there's our scan. It's close. It's something we're going to watch very closely here, certainly, but it would put it kind of right at that hook point right there. Velocity, or the reflectivity, is just a little bit, well, it certainly is right over Bull Hollow where we see that circulation. Reflectivity is a little iffy on what we're seeing. Nonetheless, we could very well have a tornado there in Bull Hollow. There might be debris. Certainly something we're going to watch in the next scan as this continues its way eastward towards Highway 59. And likely, if it takes a southward turn, Cloud Creek, Concord, you're right in the path of this. If it takes a bit of a northward turn, Sycamore, you're going to be in the midst of this, but also some large hail involved with this portion of the storm as well. All right, back to our storm along the Kansas line. This is a tornado warning for 1 to 1:15 in the morning for southern half of Chautauqua County. It does include Sedan. At this point, its trajectory will take it south of Sedan. However, there is a lot of large hail involved with this storm. And that said, if we get a bend back to the north, this could be more of a Chautauqua County storm than Osage County. Thankfully, this is a fairly low population area once we get into northern Osage County, but you see some communities here, and we want you to be taking shelter if you happen to be within that zone. At this point, it should be north enough of Bartlesville, but if it does take a bit more of a southeast turn, at least places north of Bartlesville, Dewey, Copan, up towards the Caney area, need to be aware this is likely to hold together as it eventually comes your direction. And latest check of rotation, it's still there. It's still fairly broad, but warrants seeking shelter if you're in this region. Latest check of those storms to the south, they are strong, not yet warned as severe, but there might be some hail involved not too far to the west of Wilburton. This will be traveling along Highway 270, and on either side of I-40, basically just to the west of Highway 69, we have two distinct storms that continue to be strong, moving to the east, northeast at about 40 miles per hour, the same basic path, or the same basic motion and speed as the other storms have been. By the way, the tornado watch has been expanded. If you've been in southeast Oklahoma up until now, you have not been in a tornado watch, but we just had the National Weather Service extend the watch into southeastern Oklahoma. This continues till 5 a.m., but the greatest threat of a tornado is now till about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. So we want you to be having a way to receive warnings. If you're about ready to go to bed, you're in the pink boxes here. Make sure you have that phone nearby that can alert you to a warning. A weather radio does an even better job at that. Oftentimes it's very loud if you have one of those ready to go. Just make sure you have a way to be alerted if there is a warning that pops up in your location. This watch does not include areas west of Tulsa, but Osage County, Washington County, Highway 75, and points eastward. Within the threat, the parameters for severe weather are still quite potent. Even at this hour in the middle of the night, we have some very warm, moisture-rich environments that are continuing to feed into the various storms. What I want to do really quickly is just show you a broad view of where everything is happening, because we've been jumping around from storm to storm. If you're watching us from Tulsa, thankfully, we have been kind of missed by all of these storms so far. But we do know that there are new cells popping up. Even in the metro area, we have a few new cells forming just coming out of the Tulsa area towards Catoosa, another cell near Taiwa. Right now, just rain, nothing that's going to be all that an immediate concern. But we continue to deal with this, and we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, which appears to be, is that going to be for the McIntosh County storm? Yep. Okay, so there's our new warning, and this is primarily a hail concern at the moment, and this does include Muskogee, and it does include both cells, so anywhere from Eufaula to Muskogee to Braggs, and into the southeastern portions of Cherokee County, and now western Sequoia County, and extreme north Haskell County, all included within this warning, which will take us all the way till 1:45. So at this current path, these storms may strengthen further. And if they gain more organization, rotation within them is something we'll watch very closely. The tornado threat might go up just a little bit, but right now, not an immediate tornado threat, but one that bears watching. If you're within this zone, might be worth staying up and keeping a close eye in case this does turn into a higher end threat than what we have right now. It's currently warned for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds, moving to the east at about 40-45 miles per hour. So that's the current status of these storms, just going severe to the south of Tulsa. All the storms so far that have been an issue have been along and north of Highway 412, but this is our first instance of severe weather now ongoing near I-40, not too far from Shakota. I'll go a little closer in so you can see where this is, basically from near... back to Bull Hollow. Okay, we're going to... Okay, we'll go right back up to there and just east of the city. All right, so we're going to check that out right now. And yeah, sure enough, we do have a pretty strong indication of this ongoing east of the city. Correlation coefficient also showing that distinct drop-off there. That's going to be right along Kenwood Road. And Kenwood Road kind of forks out from there, but this is heading eastward, getting closer and closer to Highway 59. I know Greg will be not too far from this area, but he's gone north, so he's not quite there. So just be aware, we have a confirmed tornado yet again, and this is going to be getting closer to Highway 59, north of just basically from Cloud Creek to Sycamore. We need to be seeking shelter right now. James has been keeping a very close eye on this, and I'll send it back over to him for another update.
Yeah, again, we're watching right in parts of Delaware County for that correlation coefficient. And there it is. You can see that dark blue spot right here. That is another debris indication. So we're zooming in just to the east on County Road. Basically, it looks like County Road 487 east of Bull Hollow. It looks like that signature as it moves east might be just a tad weaker right now. But there's the rotation. Small, but you get the bright reds next to some bright greens coming back the other way. The circulation is east of Bull Hollow, right along Kenwood Road. And as this continues moving to the east, you can see the new tornado warning that's in effect until, let's see, when that updates. 1:30 in the morning. That'll get us over into parts of Benton County and Arkansas as we, again, take an expanded view of that tornado warning. Here's the newest tornado warning. It does include Colcord, Taunus, and across the state line into Benton County in Arkansas. Let's take a close-in view again. We'll spot that rotation area. There's Cloud Creek. We'll look at velocities. One of the rotations, again, just to the north of Cloud Creek. Let's come back over here a little bit more here. There's the Bull Hollow area, but it looks like that original circulation is really starting to weaken a bit. And again, right along Kenwood Road, kind of make out what's left of that hook. And right in here, it definitely looks weaker than it was before as we look at velocity, but maybe a new circulation starting to develop closer to Highway 59. So this is kind of the pattern that we've seen. Circulation lasts for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, and then a new one develops just to its southeast and moves to the east. We still have some indication of a little bit of debris loft here. It may be unloading, just dropping the debris that fell a little earlier just to the east of Bull Hollow along Kenwood Road. New circulation trying to form along Highway 59, and it definitely has kind of that look to it as circulation begins to tighten just to the north of Cloud Creek too. So we're going to continue to watch it. We're also watching closely the severe weather and tornado potential in northern Osage County too. But as this storm moves just to the northeast of Cloud Creek, and barely to the north of Colcord, I want everybody along Highway 116 from Cloud Creek over to Colcord and north to take your tornado precautions with the newest circulation trying to form along Highway 59 and very close to Highway 116. That's going to continue moving east and cross over the state line. Let me give you an updated track on this. We'll move that over. We're getting close to the state line here. Let me give you, I'm going to expand the view so we get a little bit more of a zone of a cone here with this track. It's going to be about 10 minutes to pass Taunus and move into parts of western Arkansas. So Taunus at about 12:53. Tornado warning continuing. Officially, we'll get this out of Delaware County and on into Benton County in Arkansas and into the Fort Smith and Fayetteville TV market, but this circulation continues to get a little stronger now in parts of Delaware County. Left side of your screen, that is Fox 23's Joseph Tyree, continuing to drive through parts of the area hit by this tornado earlier. Most of this damage in the Claremore area, Rogers County area too, and you can see quite a bit of tree damage here. But that's the new circulation just to the northwest of Colcord. In Colcord, you need to take your tornado precautions now because this circulation continues strong, getting stronger too, just to the northeast of Cloud Creek and just to the north of Highway 20. I don't see any evidence that we have debris being lofted here yet, but certainly have that hook. And as we look at velocity, starting to get this spinning up stronger and stronger. So meteorologist Mike Grogan, even though this storm has moved into a slightly weaker environment, as we've talked about, when it gets this organized, it does not shut off very easily.
One other threat I noticed with this, James, we have tennis ball size hail, some of the biggest hail signature I've seen all evening coming in on the backside of this storm. So even after the tornado threat is ending, there is a serious hail threat going on, 2.5 inches in diameter measured here. I want to take you to the cell up by Chautauqua County, and we're getting a hail measurement of about 2 inches in diameter, so larger than golf ball size. This is Chautauqua County, though, where we're seeing the greatest hail threat, but we continue with the tornado threat on either side of the state line here. It continues to travel right just within a few miles of Oklahoma and Kansas border here, and moving almost due east. At this path, eventually Caney's going to be in the path of this, but the large hail signature is a little bit north of the state line, and especially up to as far north as Highway 166. That puts Sedan. You may not be in the immediate track of the rotation noted on radar, but certainly within the path of some dangerous and perhaps damaging hail. Be aware of that. Circulation with this cell up to the north. It's broad, but it's strong. Very strong winds blowing towards the radar here and into the radar. And that would put it near Chautauqua and Hendricks, two communities we need to be taking shelter right now because if anything, we're getting strong winds. But in addition to that, there could be a wrap of a tornado. And what we're doing here is we're looking further away from the radar site. So we're actually seeing this storm at number of thousand of feet above the ground, and that gives us a little less confidence what's happening right at the surface, but this is still an indication of what might be happening towards the ground here as we look several thousand feet up, and we see rotation, and we can translate that to the potential for a tornado and warrants the warning. If you're watching us from Tulsa, you might start to be hearing thunder, especially if you're near Owasso or Catoosa. A new cell is forming, and those folks that are probably cleaning up some of the damage around Claremore, about to have another storm moving in within the next few minutes. Lightning is certainly a concern if you're out there working, so hunker down, just let the cell pass. It's not severe, but still not going to make recovery efforts all that easy for folks in Rogers County. We have a severe thunderstorm warning. It has gone up in intensity as well, the heaviest of which I'm seeing south of Shakota here, crossing over Highway 69 very shortly. I'm going to pause that. I'm going to check out the hail threat, which is probably the other concern. And the hail is certainly not as large as our more mature supercells, but we could see that go up in size, getting ready to cross Highway 69 and also across Lake Eufaula right there before long. And that would eventually be taking it to the northeast. So I'll do a path here off screen so we can get a good sense of where this is heading. That hail core will continue its way east-northeastward, eventually towards Warner, in the Porham area by 117 and Sims by 123. That gives you a sense of the hail threat. Might also have 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts involved. So far, no circulation that is strong enough to warrant a tornado warning, but these might eventually become more perhaps sustained supercells. Supercells are storms that rotate, and within those we can often find the threat for a tornado. So that's what we're going to keep a close eye on here along and just south of I-40 for continued storms. But overall, we just have a number of these cells that continue to pop up. Back to reflectivity we go, and just to broaden the view, there is quite a bit of storm activity that has just popped up over the past half hour, all the way into southeastern Oklahoma. And there's our storm that is tornado warned in Delaware County. This continues to be a much more immediate threat. Let's go right back there just so we have a sense of what's going on with this, as we did get some debris lofted near Bull Hollow. That continues its way northward, just eastward near Concord. Back to the velocities first. Rotation is now north side of Concord. Very strong inflow we're getting here. We're also moving a little further away from the radar site, but it still indicates it is a tornado potential there. Now let's jump to the correlation coefficient. And a little tough to tell. I wouldn't say we necessarily have debris lofted, but the strength of the circulation could still mean we have a tornado, or at least some very strong winds ongoing around Concord and just to the north. And the reflectivity shows that this is going to continue its way eastward. Highway 116 is kind of the southern bounds of the immediate tornado threat, and it continues to be paralleling that road. There's the Arkansas state line, so we're just several miles away from this moving into Arkansas, but the hail threat continues back behind that, especially back towards Utah right now, where we have some of the strongest signatures for hail. And we do have a tornado watch for much of eastern Oklahoma until 5 o'clock in the morning. If you're just joining us, we have team coverage. Meteorologist Michaela Smith and Chief Meteorologist James Adelot, both here, along with our storm teams. You see Joseph Tyree on the left-hand side, and he has been monitoring some of the damage in Rogers County, and specifically closer to portions of Claremore, as we do have reports of some damaged structures in that area and a lot of tree debris and power outages at this point, and a tough time to be getting around. Once again, before I take it back to James, there's the latest update. Still a distinct hook right there on the north sides of Concord, moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. Back to you, James.
All right, we look again at velocity in Delaware County. We're east of Highway 59 and in the Concord area, and we've got a pretty strong circulation still across central Delaware County. No evidence that we have any kind of circulation producing a tornado, but it is definitely strong. It looks like it's wrapped up a little bit, gotten tighter, and gotten more likely that it's producing a tornado and a tornado threat. So just north of Concord, we've got about 10 minutes. This will be north of Highway 116 and out of Delaware County into Benton County in Arkansas. One of the other concerns that we have is lightning moving back into Claremore, too. So we've had not only the tornado hit in Claremore, but we've got another thunderstorm that has developed over Tulsa. That has moved to the northeast. That's getting ready to move into Claremore just in the next few minutes. You can see as that one develops and moves right up into Claremore. So for cleanup and recovery efforts and first responders in Claremore, heads up for this lightning moving in. It's not severe, thankfully, but that lightning could be deadly too, as that moves up into Claremore and a lot of people outside right now. Let's check on our tornado warned storm in Osage and in Chautauqua County. As Mike said, there's tremendous hailfall happening along Highway 166. That is moving east across southern Chautauqua County. The rotation is very near the community of Chautauqua right now. Again, in radar, it's strong enough and high enough into the storm. We're getting some bleed over into greens on the red side of the circulation, but that's going to be right along the Oklahoma-Kansas border right now. And again, no evidence that we have any debris being lofted, but that's still really strong circulation and continuing to move to the east. Now, it should stay just to the north of Highway 10, north of Bowering, and northeastern parts of Osage County, and right along the border into southwestern parts of Chautauqua County, too. So kind of chugging right along east. There's Bronco Road, really close to Belangerville, and maybe passing just to the north, and that's going to be close to Washashi State Park and Hula as it moves to the east. It looks like it may stay just to the north of the state park and just to the north of Highway 10 over toward the community of Hula. But this is still a dangerous storm as it moves east. So one promising sign you're seeing on the left side of your screen, we do have power on in parts of Claremore because the traffic signals are working, but we have quite a bit of tornado damage in Claremore too. Let's do a track on this storm that's moving along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line, because on down the line, it's going to be a threat toward Caney, Cotton Valley, Tyro, if it holds together, all the way toward Coffeyville too, but it's in the Belangerville area right now, likely passing just to the north of Hula, close to Caney by 118. The tornado warning remains in effect here until 1:15 for northern Osage County, until 1:30 for southern Chautauqua County, but that rotation continues very strong, moving toward the east. Let's go back into Tulsa, because we have seen thunderstorms trying to develop over Tulsa again. There's another one firing up over Owasso. Not severe, but we'll have some lightning with it, and this one too will likely move to the northeast, going back over the same spots, over Keatonville Road, possibly as far east as Claremore. So with more lightning threat from this as it moves up over Stone Canyon. Again, it is not severe. We'll keep a close eye on it, but again, not severe, thankfully, at least for now. Let's go further to the east. We still have that tornado warning in effect for Delaware County, but that circulation just about to move out of the state and into Benton County in Arkansas. And then we'll look further south at the next batch of severe thunderstorms that has developed south of Tulsa. Here's a look at radar. You can see that big hook that's reformed just to the north of Colcord right now. Velocity continues really strong just north of Highway 116 and close to Colcord right now, and close to Taunus as well. I'm looking at correlation coefficient. I don't see any evidence that we have any debris being lofted up into the radar signal, but this certainly looks strong enough to at least have some tornado potential with it as it moves east and out of Oklahoma. Let's take a look at just how far this has to go. We are about 3.5 miles before this circulation moves out of Oklahoma and into parts of Benton County in Arkansas, crossing Highway 43 and moving over toward Gentry and toward Decatur, but still strong circulation just to the north of Colcord. Let's expand the view and go back to the south, because we still have severe thunderstorms that have developed now kind of in a broken line from northeast of Shakota back up to the south side of Muskogee, just about to move over Davis Field right now. Strongest of these is just to the south of Shakota. Let's do a path on this as it moves to the northeast. Hail is the primary threat the way it looks right now, but this is going to be moving over Dutchess Landing, Forum Landing, Warner, toward Webbers Falls Dam, Greenleaf State Park, and on toward Paradise Hill on Lake Tenkiller as we get up past 1:30. Let's check in with Fox 23 meteorologist Mike Grogan. Mike?
We'll start with the wide view. And what we have, 2 tornado-warned storms, one just pushing into Arkansas, northwest sides of Arkansas. If you have friends and family north sides of the Fayetteville, Springdale area, you might give them the heads up that this is a tornadic storm that has had a history of producing tornadoes heading that direction. We also have our tornado-warned storm right along the Oklahoma-Kansas line. Chautauqua and Osage County still within that warning for another 15 minutes or so. And then severe storms particularly one along and south of I-40 that continues to pose mainly a hail risk, and a few other little cells coming up out of the Tulsa area. Our probably strongest storm now in the area is located here in Chautauqua County. Beyond just the rotation, we have significant hail. I just measured on radar estimates of 2.6 inches in size. It seems to be dropping off just a hair now, but that threat is now past Highway 9, getting close to Peru, all the way over to Chautauqua and up to Sedan. That's a very big hail core, and one that's certainly going to be causing some damage in Chautauqua County. But to the southeast, that storm here, that also is tornado warned. The hail continues to be a significant issue, probably at the largest getting golf ball size hail indications here, especially near the Arkansas state line. All right, back to our storm here, though. It continues to be moving east, maybe slightly south of east at times. This is going to likely stay to the north of Bartlesville. If you're watching us from Bartlesville, it might be worth watching another 10 or 15 minutes to be sure this doesn't take a significant dive southeastward. But for now, this is likely to continue to pose more of a threat along and north of Highway 10 in Oklahoma, from Copan up to Caney in Kansas, all the way to Havana, as we get to the end of that tornado warning. Specifically with rotation, it's a broad but strong indication of rotation right along the Kansas line. We're looking here specifically along Bronco Road, and this continues to be kind of a broad area of some strong winds on the south end of this, kind of the winds that blow out from the storm. We call the rear flank downdraft, all the way down to Washashi State Park and the Hickory Hill and Lake Hula. You might know this area. We're getting some strong winds in addition to the hail threat, which will be more of an issue into Kansas. And eventually, if you're in Montgomery County, be prepared for this. This storm is holding its own as it continues its way eastward at 40 miles per hour. In Tulsa, we have some heavy rain in Broken Arrow. We also have a storm right over Claremore, quickly pushing to the northeast, but a second cell has developed right before that, or right beyond that, so we may not be in the clear till we get this storm to go beyond Claremore, so hunker down a little longer if you're trying to help friends and family with some damage going on around Claremore. We finally have a severe thunderstorm over Dutchess Landing, so we're looking at the northeast sides of Lake Eufaula right now. Now the warning goes all the way up to Muskogee. The cells on the north side seem to have shown some weakening, but the cell that seems to be maintaining itself pretty well is located now to the southeast of Shakota, closing in on the place between Warner and Porham. Checking out the hail potential with this. This continues to be limited, not as strong, nor is it as mature of a storm as what we have ongoing near the Kansas line, but still we could see an uptick in that, so be prepared for some hail and some wind in Warner. Jumping over to velocities here. Nothing to me, just at this first glance, that indicates we've got distinct rotation, anything that's going to cause an immediate tornado threat here. But as these cells are still continuing to move into a favorable environment, they could strengthen further and turn into that issue with time. Now, we do have a tornado watch for much of eastern Oklahoma. Tulsa is still included, though Tulsa is not in immediate threat of severe weather. We do have new cells popping up, though, so that still is something that bears watching. The watch continues till 5 o'clock in the morning. Another 4 more hours of potential severe weather here in eastern Oklahoma. That threat is highest from now through the next hour or two, and our high reflectivity or high resolution radar predictor is going to show some of these cells moving out of here, but still continuing to develop a few more in our area through 3 o'clock in the morning. So we still might have some renewed development till about 4 or 5 before we finally get this all out of our hair, and we're left with a much quieter start to our Sunday, thankfully. One that only involves a limited severe weather threat for the extreme northeast corner of the state. But once again, if you find yourself in a tornado warning, just as a recap, or you may be waking up and hearing the storms, if you find yourself in a tornado warning, you go to the lowest, most interior part of your house. So that might be a bathroom, a closet, whatever puts more walls between you and outside is the key to staying safe from a tornado, along with extreme high winds, or even hail for that matter. And of course, if you are taking shelter, you want to protect yourself from flying debris. A helmet does that trick. You also can use a pillow or a blanket, as you might be just coming straight from bed. But if you are doing so, shoes, specifically boots, something very sturdy for your feet will be important to wear if there is debris, because that could be something that could be harmful to you otherwise if a tornado has hit your location. We'll continue to let you know if you are in the clear. Once again, several storms that we're tracking, but thankfully one is moving out of the Fox 23 viewing area with still a continued tornado warning in our region that goes until 1:30 in the morning, James. So we continue to watch that threat, especially along the Kansas line.
Yeah, as we look to the southeast of Tulsa, severe thunderstorm warnings, no sign of organized rotation here. But southeast of Shakota, one severe thunderstorm. It does not look as strong as what we saw just a few minutes ago. We come up to Fox 23 Doppler radar. Again, looking right into parts of Delaware County right now because that strong circulation is just about to move across the state line and into Benton County in Arkansas. In fact, it looks like it just has with that latest sweep. That's going to be moving over toward Decatur, Gentry, Gravette, eventually toward Bentonville. The tornado warning remains in effect here. And we, given the strength of this, may have had a tornado north of Colcord because the velocity was really strong as it moved north of Highway 116 here in eastern parts of Delaware County. New tornado warning. This is going to get the rest of northeastern Osage County, now northern Washington and northern Nowata County, too, because of that Osage County circulation that Mike has said. What do you have for a movement with that?
That's moving 55 miles an hour.
All right, moving east fast, so 50 to 55 miles per hour. And again, this is going to be close to Hula over the next few minutes, maybe along or just to the north of Highway 10, toward Copan, Cotton Valley, toward Juan, and then into parts of northern Nowata County. So we're looking at West Coffeyville, South Coffeyville, and the city of Coffeyville and southern parts of Labette County, or southern parts of Montgomery County in Kansas. I expect that warning to be extended for parts of southern Montgomery County, too, because the circulation continues to move right along that state line, maybe getting over toward Coffeyville by about 1:36. Let's zero in on that rotation because we kick on velocities, definitely seeing this really bright yellows and oranges and reds next to the bright blues and bright greens, but the center of that circulation may be just on the south side of the state line and moving toward Caney and toward Copan. It looks like it may stay along or barely to the north of Highway 10. So anybody along Highway 10, all the way from Hula through Copan, Caney, Kansas, all the way over into parts of Nowata County will continue with that tornado threat. So this is right along the state line. And again, moving right over toward Caney, Kansas. So we continue with the tornado warning as that runs now for northern Nowata and northern parts of Washington County. That tornado warning is in effect until 1:45 for this circulation. We go back to reflectivity, and as Mike has showed you many times, not only is there a tornado threat with this, but we've seen some big-time hail falling out of this too. Look at that hail core indicated in the purple. That's going to be moving into parts of Montgomery County, close to Havana and Caney. That's damaging level hail. So we need to watch this really closely as it moves toward the east. No doubt we will have at least a severe thunderstorm warning coming for Montgomery County, maybe a tornado warning for that southern sliver of Montgomery County. The metro area, things are still fairly quiet for us, but we also continue with storms not only to the north, but to the southeast of the city of Tulsa, too, while Tulsa stays fairly quiet. Again, in the Claremore area, we've seen showers and thunder start to develop. We have this severe thunderstorm located just to the northwest of Porham now. That's continuing to move to the northeast. No organized sign of rotation with it either, but we'll watch it as it moves up toward Weber's Falls at 124, Gore 127, Snake Creek Cove at about 141, Chicken Creek at 144. So some of these strong thunderstorms also have developed and moved back up over Claremore, and we still have one more batch of heavy rain to go as we head over Claremore too in Rogers County. These storms are not severe, but they do contain lightning. A lot of folks, as Mike said, outside, recovery efforts, cleanup efforts in Claremore right now, and that's definitely a hazard moving right up over the city right now with some lightning with this too. So along Highway 20, north on 88, some downpours moving in this area too. Let's go into Delaware County and check the status of our tornado warned storm there. It looked like it was crossing the state line into parts of Benton County in Arkansas, and it looks like that has happened, even though officially the tornado warning is still in effect. But yeah, that's looks certainly like that's a big area of debris, and that's getting pretty high up in a storm too. We're looking at correlation coefficient And that debris loft is, goodness, we're at 4,000 feet there. Thankfully, we lose it at 6,000 feet. The next scan cuts that at about 8,500 feet. But that is a really strong rotation in Benton County in Arkansas. So if you know somebody, this is talking north of Gentry and as far north as Gravette, call them, especially Decatur too, because this storm is a confirmed tornado on the ground moving into Benton County, moving through Benton County in Arkansas. Updated severe thunderstorm now for southern Montgomery County, as we talked about. This is largely a hail threat north of the Kansas-Oklahoma state line, with that main circulation just to the south of the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. And that's going to be moving very close to Caney, probably just to the north of Copan too, as it continues moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour. Big time hail falling out of this north of the state line. That's what's moving into Caney and toward Tyro, Fawn Creek, eventually toward Coffeyville, possibly as far north as Independence. As we look, let's see, what is the time on that? 1:06. So our storm in McIntosh County, Mike, that you're looking at right now, just got a 2-inch hail report out of it. So bigger than golf ball size hail in that area. So again, these storms not quieting down just yet, Mike.
We're continuing to watch this all very closely, and the radar is not even giving us the real accurate measurement of some of these hailstones, and where it does, you can imagine it's certainly a big-time issue like we've had in southern Chautauqua County. This is the tornado warning, and it goes on until 1:45, and it cuts through a large but narrow section of far northern Oklahoma, far northeastern sections of Osage County, basically from Copan northward to the county line, and also cutting into northern Nowata County. The circulation is broad but strong, as it's now near the junction of Chautauqua, Washington County, and also the portions of far northeast Osage County. There's the strong winds we're getting. Now, we're measuring this at a higher elevation because the radar beam is sloping upward with the curvature of the earth, and that would certainly indicate that we still have strong winds there. But translating this to the ground near Highway 10, this is going to be, if not a tornado, a high wind threat still ongoing, and this will be pushing into Copan next and up towards Caney. So rotation just right here, as you see, and it will continue its way southeastward at a fairly rapid clip. The measurement of this was to the southeast at nearly 55 miles per hour. As we put on that kind of broad track that direction, this will take it basically near Caney here in the next 7 or 8 minutes or so. The Cotton Valley area by 1:23, one by 1:27, Noxie at 1:31. And if you're at Oklahoma Union High School, that's not Union in Tulsa, but Oklahoma Union down into northern Nowata County, we could be seeing this by 1:38. Not only a tornado potential, but also high winds and very large hail. This storm has had a history, at least according to radar, of up to tennis ball size hail, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Montgomery County, the southern half of the county, for that very reason, along with the threat for some high winds as well. But that high wind threat seems to be riding very close to the Kansas-Oklahoma border. There's the hail, and we're starting to get some hail signatures out of Caney. I just want to take a little measurement of this because I bet you this is going to be closing in on golf ball size here. And sure enough, it's at least a $half size, maybe up to golf ball size there. So another serious hail concern for Caney, as we see there. Here's the overall movement, and you can see it just seems to be taking a slight southeastward dive, so that puts the circulation squarely in Oklahoma, but just by a mile or two, really. And so that will continue its way east, maybe slightly southeast of east, and eventually through northern Washington County, north of the Bartlesville area. Bartlesville not included in the tornado warning. You might get some outflow winds coming around the north side of town, but the rain, the hail, the major threat of a tornado well to your north at this moment. This will continue into Nowata County with time. Further to the south around Tulsa, we are dry in the city, but up to the northeast, unfortunately, Claremore still dealing with the tail end of another storm coming on through. Still lightning, as you see there, populating the map, and a few more cells down by Inola and Coweta. These are not severe. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning, and this, once again, was a hail threat, and we just had a 2-inch hail report coming out of this, as James mentioned a bit earlier, and this, on its current track, will take it very close to Vian and Gore, probably staying just south of Weber's Falls and eventually more squarely into Sequoyah County. So this will continue its way eastward. Isn't showing signs to me of strengthening. It might be weakening a touch. The cap here might be having an impact on the ongoing strength of some of these cells. Once again, we also have that cell exiting out of Oklahoma into Arkansas with a tornado ongoing in far northwestern sections of that state. Tornado watch until 5 a.m. And once again, we expect a few more storms to continue to bubble up through the next few hours. That's why we have the tornado watch still in effect for much of the area through this window of time. So it's been a long time since we've been with you here on Fox 23, but we've had several tornadoes that have occurred, and that threat continues a bit longer. At this point, closely watching the Oklahoma-Kansas line there, James.
Keep going for a second, Mike.
Oh, yes, happy to do so. All right, let's take you forward in time where these storms might be headed. Here we are at this moment, jumping ahead to 2 o'clock in the morning, and this may not be capturing the cell in northeastern parts of, well, basically north of Tulsa. We are likely dealing with that cell ongoing to the southeast. Perhaps Veneta, Miami, Grove getting another round of these storms, and high winds might eventually be the evolving threat with these. In addition, a few more cells in southeast Oklahoma. Back to Tulsa, we can't rule out a few more showers or storms passing through by 3 or 4 in the morning. It's far northeast Oklahoma primarily getting some of the storms, and then as we move towards the pre-dawn hours here, things should start to be winding down in northeast Oklahoma, but we might get a couple rounds. If you're watching us from far northeast Oklahoma, we just had that tornado pass through portions of Mays and Delaware County. Of course, before that, even further to the west. But we still might have another round of storms coming in, and that's primarily because we have a cell that is likely to hold itself together crossing through far northeast Oklahoma. Currently, the most likely area to have a threat will be into far northern Washington County. I can probably, as we just bring on the velocities here, aside from some high winds still ongoing in the far northeastern section of Osage County, the circulation is now into really just far northern Washington County here, just near Caney and just to the south of Caney, so we can give the all clear for a tornado threat in Osage County. The storms carry on a bit longer if you're in the far northeastern corner, though, and eventually Caney, Copan 1, you need to be in your shelter all the way over to Coffeyville, especially the south sides of Coffeyville over to Oklahoma Union High School, the zone that will be up next for high winds and the potential for a tornado, but nothing confirmed out of this quite yet, James.
Yeah, I wanted to take a moment to show you what's happening in Benton County in Arkansas. We've got 2 tornadoes down. One, the original tornado that we talked about west of Decatur. Another one is actually rotating clockwise. Both have lofted debris. You can see as we tilt up with radar, debris indication south of Decatur, debris indication also to the northwest of Decatur right now. So we've got an anticyclonic, typical, 95% of tornadoes do this, lofting debris, but this one is an anticyclonic. It's turning clockwise. It too is lofting debris, and that is exceptionally uncommon. So this is happening in the Decatur, Arkansas area, in parts of Benton County in Arkansas. This will eventually move close to Bentonville. So with it lofting debris 15,000 feet or so up into the air, this is another major tornado down too as it moves toward Bentonville. So help us out. Call friends and family in Benton County in Arkansas, Bentonville, let them know that there's a confirmed tornado down right now moving their way. Otherwise, Tulsa, we are all clear in Tulsa. The rain and thunderstorms north, northeast, and southeast of Tulsa. I don't think we'll see additional development over the city, but we will watch things closely. We still have the tornado warning in effect in northeastern parts of Osage and northern Washington and northern parts of Nowata County. Bartlesville, not included in the tornado warning, thankfully, but Copan is. Nowata included in the tornado warning as well. Let's zoom into the circulation. We can give the all clear to Chautauqua County in Kansas. We can give the all clear to Osage County in Oklahoma, with the circulation very close to Caney right now. A look at velocity, and it's going to be hard to find the focus of this because it looks like there's a whole lot of strong wind blowing in here too. So that's going to continue moving east along and north of Highway 10 and south of Highway 166 in southern parts of Montgomery County. This thing has produced really large hail too. Wanted to give you an updated track on this as we continue to watch it moving toward the east. So we'll put the center of circulation very close to Caney, and Copan now. Moving east toward Cotton Valley, Juan, Noxie, if this holds together, on to Oklahoma Union High School. That's on Highway 169 on the north side of Nowata County, not Union High School in Tulsa, but the one in Nowata County. So again, Cotton Valley 1, Oklahoma Union High School along Highway 10. Get ready, because this storm could produce another tornado. It will likely produce large hail too across parts of...
Caney PD say the wind's close to 80 miles an hour.
Okay, 80 mile per hour wind estimation in Caney, Kansas. So that's an indication of just how strong some of these winds are. I wonder if we can get a better look at that with high resolution Doppler radar. Some of these just really strong winds sweeping through here. Let me take a look, because not only do we have the potential rotation, but when you get this rolled over from green and blue back into oranges, that is some really strong wind very close to Washashi State Park. I know this is a terrible weekend for this in near any state park or campground. A lot of people camping. Really strong winds, Cotton Valley. Now we're up a little off the ground here, but this is some really strong wind that appears to be ongoing with this storm in northern Washington and extreme northeastern Osage County. The tornado threat is over in Chautauqua County and in northeastern parts of Osage County, thankfully, but we've got really strong wind with this storm right now. Again, in Tulsa, things are in pretty good shape. The rain and thunder that have tried to develop over the east side of Tulsa haven't backbuilt any further into the city, continuing to race to the northeast. The good news is in Claremore, most of the rain has moved out. We have also received word that Claremore PD is basically sealing off the town. They don't need anybody coming into Claremore right now while they cordon off some of that damaged area and do some damage assessment there and determine what needs they have. So stay away from Claremore, at least until we get the clearance from Claremore Police that they're going to let relief back into Claremore. Good news is what's moving back over Mayes County, not severe now. Let's go back further to the east again. We look at our tornadic storm that's moved over Decatur in Arkansas. I'll stop the animation. We're going to come back in and zoom in here. This is moving toward Bentonville, and that is a highly populated area moving along Highway 102 toward Centerton and toward Bentonville. Radar continues to show strong indication that we've got a tornado east of Decatur on Highway 102. We've had damage reports, or at least confirmation of a tornado that occurred in Decatur. Don't know how strong, what strength, or what kind of damage, but again, some damage reports there. Still have a strong indication that we've got debris lofted into the radar signal east of Decatur. Again, strong reflectivity. We get back at velocity, and we've got strong indications of rotation and a really low signal on correlation coefficient, and that is debris lofted up into the radar signal. And I will check and just see how high some of that debris might be. It looks like that one's not as updated as what we have here. So again, debris lofted up into the radar signal east of Decatur right now along Highway 102. So this is still not quite letting go yet. We still have tornado watches in effect that go all the way down into southeastern Oklahoma. Thankfully, so far, we have not seen additional severe thunderstorms south of our severe thunderstorm in northern parts of Haskell County. Again, metro area is still fairly quiet. We still have northern Mayes County with strong thunderstorms. We still have Wagner County with strong thunderstorms. And this storm to the north of Stigler has produced some 2-inch hail a little earlier. That's going to continue moving to the east-northeast, crossing over the Arkansas River close to the I-40 bridge and moving on up toward Vian 2. Wider view as we look further to the south.
North Washington County, close to the Kansas line.
All right, so a funnel cloud reported now, northern Washington County from that tornado-warned storm. Thankfully, we're not seeing any further development back south of I-40 aside from our hailstorm. Here is also a very strong hailstorm too from Montgomery County and that tornado warned storm in parts of northern Washington and northern Nowata County. You kind of see a little bit of a hook shape here, and what we're looking at, likely just to the northeast of Juan, where we've got a funnel cloud reported and some golf ball sized hail too. So we're not quite finished with the magnitude of that storm either. As it continues moving to the east, the tornado warning remaining in effect there. Don't see any evidence at all that we have a tornado down with it, but a funnel cloud report and large hail. This is in the large hail that is in the northeastern corner of Washington County, right next to the Kansas state line. So that's going to be very close to Cotton Valley and Noxie, and eventually into northern parts of Nowata County too. So we're looking kind of right in this area in the northeastern corner of Washington County, moving east into Nowata County. If you're in Coffeyville, we still need to watch this really closely. Anybody along Highway 166 and south, because sometimes these storms will turn a little bit back to the north as they begin to weaken, but not getting rid of the tornado threat when they do that either. Let's check in with Fox 23 meteorologist Mike Grogan. Mike, it's been a busy night. It got off to a late start, and we continue to track these storms.
Yeah, and we don't want folks to let their guard down ahead of these storms. Even though we're getting deep into the night, you need to be aware there is still a tornado threat ongoing now to the northeast of Copan in particular, and just an incredible amount of hail falling now in southern Montgomery County. I've put on a path here just to give you a sense of the timing. Near the circulation, we just had a report of a funnel cloud. Cotton Valley, you might be seeing this passing very close to you at 126, Noxie by 135, and the west sides of Coffeyville by 140, and Coffeyville itself by 144. And I'm going to go ahead and include Oklahoma Union High School within that window of time as well. Here's the core of the high winds, though. It's right along Highway 75. Gusts to 80 miles per hour have been clocked with the storm, and this is likely to be maintained. So even if it's not a tornado, the winds are at a low EF0 strength for what we see just on the south side of the Oklahoma-Kansas line. This threat will likely carry on just along and just south of the border. The warning, once again, does not include Bartlesville. You are not in the path of this particular storm with any major issues, but boy, are we getting hail. Measurements over 2 inches in diameter near Tyro, and that is likely the case near Fawn Creek now and closing in on Coffeyville, so just moments away from getting a whole lot of that coming out of the sky. That would be between golf ball and tennis ball size hail along the Kansas line, but the hail threat continues to be more in Montgomery County than in portions of Oklahoma, where we're dealing more with the wind and the potential for a tornado in that location. Around Tulsa, all is quiet still. No cells really forming immediate metro area, but we still have some heavy storms ongoing east of Claremore now up through Pryor and Adair. And we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell that did produce a 62-mile-per-hour wind gust near Onapa. That cell continues to be strong, possibly producing that 60-mile-per-hour wind potential and some hail, getting very close to I-40 now. We'll eventually be heading towards Salisaw. It seems to be shrinking in size a bit, but still maintaining its own. We're going to keep a close eye there. Not noticing that this one storm has any sort of major circulation with it, but as we go to velocities, just to double check, we're not seeing anything that's immediately concerning. So this is just a severe storm, not a tornado warning, and it continues its way eastward at about 40 miles per hour. There is a tornado watch out until 5 o'clock in the morning. It has been a very active night. These storms have produced multiple tornadoes. We continue, by the way, behind the scenes to gather more information on the damage in Claremore. We have received reports from the Claremore police. They do not want people heading into town right now, especially for anyone just going in to look and see the damage. That is, they're still in the very early stages of recovery, clearing roadways, and keeping things safe for those residents in place that have dealt with this tornado passing through Claremore. And this continues to be a serious situation for northwest Arkansas as well, with the tornado warning now for parts of the Bentonville area. So active night for sure. One tornado warning for our area, and that would include northern Washington County, northern Nowata County until 1:45 in the morning. So that's what we have at this moment. We'll continue to see the threat for damaging winds and hail. Here's the latest radar predictor with our high resolution model. This just coming in. We are seeing continued storms moving out of Kansas. I would assume this is the cell that they presume that this model thinks is near and just north of Bartlesville. That would probably be near Veneta and Miami by about 2:30 in the morning. So about an hour from now, you could be getting some large hails and damaging winds, and that potential for a tornado. That threat is slowly going to be ramping down as we head deeper into the morning hours on your Sunday. moving to 3:34 in the morning, most of the threats appear to be passing more into the Ozarks of Missouri and Arkansas. And so at that point, we're looking at quieter weather to begin your Sunday, and hopefully from there, things will begin to get much, much quieter for the rest of our day ahead. As you'll see, some storms might refire to our northeast. A few of them could clip far northeast Oklahoma. But for now, this is not an immediate threat. And I do just want to jump ahead to our next threat of severe weather. And as you'll see, we do have a limited threat of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center for your Sunday. Something we'll be watching out for. But this is really for the early morning hours and maybe far northeast Oklahoma getting clipped by a storm tomorrow, during the afternoon on your Sunday. But you see, things get quieter for your Memorial Day and Tuesday, so we're just hours away from getting things to be a little bit better, and we can sleep easy from that point on. But those of us still in a warning, we're watching it closely, and we'll send it back over to James for more updates as we still have a tornado warning for another few minutes, at least another 15, 20 minutes north of Tulsa.
Yeah, take a look. The tornado warning remaining in effect, northern parts of Nowata County. I think we can give the clear. Well, not quite yet, but we're close in Washington County. We still have at least strong rotation here, if not another funnel cloud, possible tornado too, along and just to the north of Highway 10, south of Highway 166. It's this area. We had some really strong winds pushed down into northern parts of Washington County from southwestern Montgomery County too. Not sure how strong. We did see some estimations in Caney of winds hitting 80 miles per hour from the Caney Police Department, but we're still looking at that main circulation getting closer to Oklahoma Union High School. Let me give you an updated track here as our coverage continues on Fox 23, 30-minute track, Oklahoma Union High School. And again, this is staying along and north of Highway 10 and south of Highway 166 in extreme southern parts of Montgomery County. But here's the area of rotation that we could see this spin up into another tornado. Now, one of the other issues that we've had with this is the hail, and it has grown even larger. We're getting into this orange area, and we're talking, that's getting up. Baseballs are 2.75 inches, so you're getting up more than 3.5 inches. I think softballs are, 3 3/4 or 4-inch hail. So we're getting some radar indication of between baseball and softball-sized hail moving east across parts of southern Montgomery County. If you're in Coffeyville and you got a way to get your car in a garage or carport, that's what you need to do. Stay away from bridges and overpasses. That's really dangerous to do. But carport, garage, even parked up, nestled as close as you can to the side of a house, because this is going to be destructive hail as it moves east toward Fawn Creek and into Coffeyville. Again, that hail size could be as big as baseballs to softballs in Montgomery County. And there's really no significant indication that this is going to quit. It's going to continue moving slowly to the east, eventually into Labette County, but we'll have to watch that hail core if it manages to bend back a little bit more to the south. We could see some of that extremely large hail in northern parts of Nowata County and northern Craig County too, but our biggest concern in northern Nowata County still is the potential for a tornado developing. Tornado warning is still in effect for this area until 1:45. That is the only tornado warning that we have in Oklahoma right now, and it's that thin sliver of northern Nowata County. We can now give the all clear for northern parts of Washington County. In Tulsa, we are out of any threat of severe weather. We continue to see a smattering of strong thunderstorms along and east of Highway 69 now. One severe thunderstorm moving up towards Sallisaw has had a history of producing hail, but it does actually appear a tad bit weaker right now on radar and further to the south. Thankfully, we're not seeing additional development in our area or into parts of far southeastern Oklahoma that might move up into Latimer or Pittsburgh County. So let's take a look at our severe storm that's in extreme northern parts of Haskell County. Once this moves past Highway 59 in Sequoia County, that'll be out of our coverage area. Quick check of velocity. I don't see anything too alarming in it at all. Hail not indicating anything right now either. So as this thankfully slowly weakens, we'll continue that track into Sequoia County, moving to the northeast about 35 to 40 miles per hour, up toward Dwight Mission, Sallisaw by 154, Brushy, Blackjack Fire Department by about 208. So again, moving out of our coverage area, and thankfully weakening too. Other strong storms you can see in parts of Wagner County, Rogers County, and especially northern parts of Mays County, while Tulsa stays clear. And we are still here for the tornado warning in northern Nowata County. This will expire at 1:45, so we've got about 12 or 13 more minutes to go for this tornado warning, but it may be reissued given the strength of the thunderstorm itself, the enormous amount of hail falling out of the storm. It also is an indication that we've got some really significant organization that has taken place with it. And with that organization comes large hail, and with the amount of instability that we still have, the threat of tornado development too, along with those strong thunderstorm winds. Strongest circulation is very close to Oklahoma Union High School. Let's take a look at high-resolution Doppler radar. Again, right in here. So given the strength of this and what we have seen so far today as far as thunderstorms and tornado strength from the level of circulation that we've seen, this will likely get an extension for the tornado warning. Don't see any significant sign that we have debris being lofted up into the radar signal. We're still just a little bit outside the stronger precip area, but it certainly does have that look. The circulation continues in northern parts of Nowata County now, so all clear northern Washington County. And Mike, we're down to one tornado warning, but it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon.
No, and in addition to the tornado threat, the hail, the wind, this storm continues to have a lot of water with it, and it continues to move over some of the same locations. I would suspect along Highway 166 from Montgomery into Chautauqua County, we're getting some serious flooding on low-lying portions of the roadways, given the amount of rain that's falling in addition to the hail. It's going to make travel just absolutely brutal, so please be off the roadways here through this region, because this is going to be blinding rain in addition to the threat for tornadoes and high winds and hail and all of that. Just an absolute mess. There's our rotation just to the northeast of Juan. We can pretty much give the all clear for any tornado threat for now northern Washington County. This is becoming a Nowata County concern as this gets much closer to Oklahoma Union High School, staying right now north of Lenapaw. But then we look at the hail, and still we just had an indication of near softball-sized hail. That may have just gone down a hair, but this still means that we are likely dealing with hails that basically could be, we'll just sample it here from Fawn Creek, and that would put it near 2.5 inches of diameter. So we're talking still baseball-sized ongoing along Highway 166. There's our new tornado warning. As we suspected, this might be extended. We're going to go ahead and take a look at where this is going, and the latest warning is now going to be including, let's just go right back to the velocities here and widen the view. Yep, northern Craig County now included. Along Highway 10 all the way to probably Blue Jacket or so, we're going to see this warning ongoing in Welch at least through 2:15. So 2:15 is the new warning time. So if you are in northern Craig County, now is the time to gather what you need to go to your safe place. Head to that lowest, most interior place in your house. We do have a storm that we believe at least has incredibly strong winds and very large hail, and at any point might have a tornado with it. And that's why we have this warning extending further to the east now, along Highway 10 all the way to about Pyramid Corners and Welch. And if you're downstream even further from Miami to Fairland and Afton, bears watching here as well. All right, so there's the storm. Its movement is to the east-southeast. I'm going to check out the latest motion on this as the new warning takes it to the southeast at a good click, at 50 miles per hour. It's moving primarily to the east, and do have a new warning here, and that would be inclusive of southern Labette County, just kind of outside the official Fox 23 viewing area. But hail is a big threat now through Coffeyville and eventually straddling the Oklahoma-Kansas line. And that might be an increasing concern as this is maybe heading just slightly south of east, and that might put the hail core more into Oklahoma with time. But right now, likely getting hail closing in with wind-driven hail at that, I should say, in Oklahoma Union High School and in that northern section of Nowata County. And once again, winds still quite strong, and the rotation is seen here very close to Highway 10. So here is where we especially want folks in their safe spot. Hop over to correlation coefficient just to double check, and I don't see anything that really indicates lofted debris, but we are just likely still dealing with some very high winds that could be still doing some damage, and there's that hail threat. By the way, around Tulsa, still quiet. Storms have developed to our east, but they're moving further away now, but a lot of lightning ongoing near Pryor and Adair, so continued issue for folks trying to do some cleanup work in this zone where we did have some damage reported in Mays County as well. Our severe storm continues to slide eastward along I-40 basically, so crossing between just south sides of Vian right now all the way over to Salisaw, and this is going to also be heading further to the east outside the Fox 23 viewing area, and beyond that, it is fairly quiet out there, not dealing with nearly as many threats of severe weather, primarily along the Oklahoma-Kansas line is the #1 concern, but still, big section of the area included in a tornado watch for another few hours. That threat is really winding down, though, for much of areas from Tulsa southward. We have not seen much take hold in terms of a tornado threat in southeast Oklahoma. Still can't rule out a storm that forms and does produce circulation, but that threat seems to be winding down a touch, which is good news, except for the folks along the Oklahoma-Kansas line. And if you're all the way over to Veneta and Grand Lake watching us from there, this storm coming in out of portions of far northern Oklahoma might end up being a threat for you, a second storm that could be approaching your area. So lots going on in terms of severe weather tonight, James, but thankfully in terms of the number of storms we're contending with, they're starting to drop off a touch now. And our main game in town is that cell that we see near Coffeyville, and it appears to be maybe getting a bit more outflow dominant, just that appearance on radar seems to give more of an outflow sense that maybe we're transitioning to that, but that still means more widespread winds that could be at least low-level tornado strength heading here to the southeast. Coffeyville, it's just south of you, is where we find the rotation, but you're in the hail threat that will continue along the Kansas line for a little while longer. We did get a new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's just zoom out just to see where that is, and that is now including a new couple of cells that have fired up near Tahlequah. So we haven't talked about Cherokee County much tonight, but this is a threat for hail and high winds closing in on Tahlequah, probably just south sides of town near Keys and Park Hill. You might be getting this cell and eventually Eldon, and then eventually over towards Adair County. This warning will take us till, let's see, 2:30 in the morning. So a hail and wind threat for a couple sections in this other cell north of Hobart, also quickly going severe, and that will be crossing Highway 82. So folks along the Illinois River might be getting that river float season going. This is going to be a time you need to hunker down and let this storm pass. Not an immediate tornado threat, thankfully. James, I'll send it back to you.
All right, continuing to watch our single tornado warning right now. This is along and north of Highway 10. To the west of 169, we're clear of a tornado threat, but we still have damaging wind threat. Doppler radar continuing to show really strong winds on the backside, on the west side of Highway 169, probably topping 70 miles per hour. Circulation continues just to the east of Oklahoma Union High School, and that is moving to the east, again, right along and north of Highway 10. That's going to be moving toward Banzette, Rogers. If this holds together, we're talking Welch and close to Pyramid Corners in Craig County. It will stay to the north of Veneta unless it takes a drastic turn. Longer term, we're looking further toward Miami and northern parts of Ottawa County and possibly crossing I-44 yet again. So the tornado warning remaining in effect for Nowata and Washington County. We've given the all clear in Washington County, so until 2:15 for northeastern Craig, northeastern Nowata, and let me start over. That tornado warning in effect for northeastern Nowata and northern Craig County until 2:15, with the main circulation, the risk area now east of Highway 169 and along and north of Highway 10. As we look at velocities now, again, I'm looking closely. It looks like perhaps the strongest circulation. We're looking up in the storm a little bit, so it might be a little deceptive, but we're talking north of 10, east of 169, and east of Oklahoma Union High School. So likely in this area. And again, some of these brighter blues in here, that's some really strong wind coming back into northwestern parts of Nowata County. So the storm is not just a tornado threat. As Mike said, it's also flash flooding and large hail. Again, a quick radar check of that hail. Moving into Coffeyville right now, it looks like the peak size has thankfully come down just a little bit, but this is still generating some large hail. Some of this large hail is starting to creep back down into northern parts of Nowata County. Again, mostly to the north of Highway 10, where we continue with our threat for severe weather, and we continue with that tornado warning that's in effect. It's 1:42 right now. That tornado warning is in effect until 2:15. As that moves further east, thankfully it's moving pretty quickly, so it won't be lingering long, but it's still got a ways to go before it moves even into parts of Craig County. But that threat area is along and north of Highway 10. On the north side of this, moving out of Coffeyville and into Labette County, just pounding large hail falling out of this too. Just trying to catch up on some of these severe weather reports. We've had more tornado damage confirmed in Benton County in Arkansas from the earlier tornado that was between about 110 and 120 this morning, has done some damage there. As we look at our rotation, that's continuing in northeastern parts of Nowata County. Not quite as focused, but still right along Highway 10, so we may drop that danger, that threat area, just a tiny bit further to the south. So along Highway 10 all the way over toward Welch. Hopefully in about 5 minutes we can give the all clear to Nowata County. But overall, that warning remains in effect for northeastern Nowata and northern Craig County until 2:15, with the main circulation that's located just along and north of Highway 10. It's not super tight, but it's in this area right here. So the rotation would be right here and continuing to move toward the east. That's going to be moving across the county line and into parts of Craig County over the next few minutes. The tornado warning remaining in effect until 2:15. Meteorologist Mike Grogan, I'm seeing him over there looking at hail sizes and rainfall totals, because this is not just a tornado hazard. We've got all kinds of severe hazards with it.
Yeah, and thankfully we're now in the middle of the night, so there aren't that many folks out on the roadways, but I'm suspicious that we've got some serious flooding in portions of southern portions of our Kansas counties here. This storm is racing southeast, and it's going to continue its way in our far northeastern stretch of our viewing area. But in addition to that, a number of storms have flared up in our eastern counties. Most of the threat for storms now east of Highway 69, with the exception of this big cell just moving east-southeastward along the Kansas border. Coffeyville right in the thick of the hail and the incredibly heavy rains. There's some outflow winds extending from this. I did just check the Copan Mesonet only recorded 44-mile-per-hour winds, so it might indicate we have some pockets of some very strong winds, but it won't be is widespread, perhaps going downstream into this environment. That is good news there. But let's get closer in. I have drawn on a path here for our latest track of the rotation within this storm. The Banzette area by 2:02, Rogers at 2:06, Cocklebur Flats by 2:08, Pyramid Corners at 2:11, and Welch at 2:13. That's the time basically between now and then to be prepared for high winds, potential for a tornado, in addition to some serious hail. And the rotation is not incredibly organized, but it's still now between Coffeyville and Oklahoma Union High School, perhaps a little east now. It's definitely east of Highway 169, and it will continue its east, slightly southeasterly path. Eventually, Highway 10 is going to be much more along this threat zone. And we do have Greg McLaughlin. At least he was getting kind of close to this cell. So he may be observing this at a closer distance, so we might check in with him very shortly. Let's check in on the hail sizes right now, because we have seen up to golf ball size hail estimated on radar. As of now in southeastern Montgomery County, 1.7 inches. That's very close to golf ball size hail. And we just had a report of at least 1 inch diameter hail coming out of South Coffeyville, Kansas, consistent with what we see there on radar at this moment. Now, further south, Tulsa, all is quiet. Tulsa area has lucked out dramatically tonight, given the fact that all the storms have been mostly outside the immediate city. But we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning till 2:30 this morning, and this will take it really through Tahlequah. We're getting the storm right now, also getting a possible hail core with strong winds just south side of Peggs, crossing Highway 82. Folks up and down the Illinois River getting hit with both of these cells. This one in particular coming out of Tahlequah, more of an immediate threat for folks there along the Arkansas River, or the Illinois River. And eventually Camp Egan, we're looking at northern half of Adair County for this threat, but it's not a tornado threat. These cells are not organized enough for low-level rotation. It's something we're going to watch out for. The environment could change that. It could eventually become more of a supercell as we see, or two of them perhaps even, as this crosses into our far eastern zone from basically Tahlequah eastward. But for Tahlequah, if you're waking up hearing this storm, it's hail and wind. Tornado threat remains up along the Kansas line. That tornado watch, though, carries till 5 a.m., so we've got a little while longer before this really is becoming a waning issue. And it really is around Tulsa and Highway 75. And really to the west of Highway 69, I mentioned, the threat is lower, except for our bordering counties with Kansas. We still have one strong supercell to get through, and our high-resolution radar continues to advance those storms in that same zone and keeps us fairly quiet there to follow. And that's really the case as we head deeper into your Sunday with generally quiet conditions. And of course, behind the scenes, we continue to monitor conditions in Claremore. We have been asked that folks stay out of there that don't need to be in Claremore, just because they are doing many cleanup efforts right now to keep the roadways clear and cleaning them up and safe for folks that are residents to get through. And of course, analyzing damage, which we know has happened in Claremore, Mays County, and likely in Delaware County as well. That threat is a storm that is now impacting portions of Bentonville and northwestern Arkansas. So that's still a concern for our friends to the east. But that's a look at where we go into the morning hours. Things are going to be getting quieter, but we still have one more tornado warning that takes us through northern Craig County. And until we get through that point, I think the storm is likely sustained for a little while longer, James. And once again, that threat continues to be mainly to the east of Highway 169 in Nowata County. But high winds and, of course, incredibly heavy rainfall. I'm just checking in here just to see what rainfall totals have been in places like Copan. And so far, over the past several hours, we've received about an inch of rain there. So it has been an efficient rainmaker, and one that is not a surprise there. And a new severe thunderstorm warning there, James, which appears to be for areas even further to the south. And we'll take a look at that, but I'll send it back over to you for the moment.
Yeah, again, this storm has been a bruiser generating hail and that tornado threat in, well, about to move into parts of Craig County right now, too. 2-inch hail, 70-mile-per-hour wind, likely from this storm. It's going to be very close to the Will Rogers Turnpike, but the hail, the flooding rain, tornado threat, and strong damaging winds possible with it, too. Let's take a look at Fox 23 Doppler radar. Again, we're going to kick back over to velocity right now. Continuing to see a little rotation right along Highway 10. This is north of Sanders. Let me give you a track here because this continues to slowly dip a little bit further and further to the south, but we will generate this over toward Welch and toward Cocklebur Flat. But the good news is it looks like that rotation broad enough that the tornado warning has expired. We still have some rotation here. Still want you to watch things really closely in Welch and south. But for now, that tornado warning replaced by a severe thunderstorm warning. And we can give the all clear for tornado threat, get rid of that threat in Nowata County and focus on northern parts of Craig County right now. But for now, it looks like, thankfully, that tornado warning canceled. But we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northern Craig County, and this is a bruiser of a storm. Hail up to 2 inches. That's larger than golf balls, getting up close to tennis ball-sized hail falling out of that as it moves across parts of southern Labette County and northern Nowata County. A quick check of the hail estimation. Again, this is computed from slightly prior radar data, so kind of the last volume scan of radar data to compute that full hail size because it takes the whole tilt up with radar. So that's probably right now just a tiny bit further toward the east. But as we can take a look, I want to show you what the track of that heaviest hail has been, the biggest, the largest hail, and it's been right up across parts of Chautauqua and into Montgomery County. It looks like it was at its biggest hail was to the west of Coffeyville, right along Highway 166. But that is quite a trail of big-time hail that fell from Chautauqua County, Montgomery County, and right along the state line. Some of that did dip back into parts of Nowata County, too. And that was the trail of the most significant hail that rolled across parts of eastern Oklahoma. Let's take a look again in northern parts of Craig County where we have this tornado warning that is in effect, or a severe thunderstorm warning, I should say. Notice we have lost that red box. We will stay with programming here until 2 o'clock, maybe sticking around a little longer if this storm continues, with the possibility of more than 70-mile-per-hour winds. But as this moves into northern parts of Craig County, it will stay to the north of Veneta the way it appears right now. Further to the south, in Cherokee County and Adair County, we have another severe thunderstorm warning. This storm, as we look at velocity, has not shown any significant or consistent indications of rotation with it. We look at reflectivity, and again, it's a little bit less of a big, giant supercell and more of individual cells here. So we can move these to the northeast, about 30 miles per hour. Again, hail quarter size, maybe a little bit bigger, probably about the biggest threat here, moving up towards Scraper, Nickel Family Preserve, Flint Ridge, Natural Falls State Park, and Mosley. Further to the south, this storm continuing to move to the northeast too, at about a 30-minute track. We'll take it up in some places over the same areas, West Peavine by 211, maybe Westville by 217. Hail is going to be the primary threat with this one. Again, not seeing any signs of rotation. Now, in Benton County in Arkansas, we still have strong rotation between Bentonville and Rogers right now, but that is out, thankfully, of our coverage area and into the Fayetteville and Fort Smith TV market. As we expand this view, we still have our severe thunderstorm in northern parts of Craig County with wind up to 70 miles per hour. We will continue to watch that really closely in case there's any kind of spin up or any kind of increase in tornado threat. We look into Cherokee County, and that's not a tornado threat. It's lower on the scale of severe thunderstorms for sure, but it could have 60-mile-per-hour wind and maybe 1-inch hail, quarter-size hail or so. Biggest storm right now continues in parts of northwest Arkansas. That's our only tornado warning, thankfully out of our coverage area, but it is still a mess of storms north and east of Tulsa right now. Let's check in with Fox 23 meteorologist Mike Grogan. Mike?
Yeah, another check of that storm. That's the biggest concern in the area right now. The tornado warning has dropped. This is turning into more of a high wind and hail threat. Winds up to 70 miles per hour are possible. The heaviest of the hail is likely along the Kansas line here. As we take a look at velocities, still getting some strong winds kind of funneling up at the very periphery of the storm and then blowing outward from what you see here near Sanders. That's the outflow boundary, that kind of laminar line that's now crossing into Craig County. That would be the leading edge of the winds that will be possibly damaging. And the Highway 10 is right in the midst of that, and it extends even further to the south from there. As I just kind of take the view a little further south, that area of outflow winds extend also all the way to Nowata, but the winds will be lessening with southward extent as this storm carries on. Back to the reflectivity, let's actually check out the hailstone size here, and still getting some pretty healthy hail sizes here out of this storm. Still an indication that maybe golf ball size hail is occurring in far northwestern sections of Nowata County, something that we're going to keep a close eye on as the evening wears along, then overnight, I should say. And Highway 10 is kind of right along where this is continuing to track. But thankfully, the velocities have really dropped off in terms of circulation. Tulsa area is perfectly quiet, no concern right now, but we still have another severe storm sliding to the east of Tahlequah now, and it's kind of getting close to merging in with that cell to the north, so we kind of have pretty soon just one consolidated batch of storms that will slide into Adair County. This warning takes us till 2:30 in the morning, probably getting some hail near Camp Egan there, Eldon, and then probably staying to the north of Stillwell for that wind and hail threat. Now, these storms are all sliding east at a rather fast clip. Let's just widen the view just so you have a broad sense of where everything else is happening. And really, southeast Oklahoma largely has avoided issues. We've had a few reports of some hail along I-40 and some gusty winds, but this is it. And we still have a tornado warning for parts of northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, in that specific area. This particular storm is dropping in. There are some storms kind of on the back side of it, but those are less likely to be severe and just some heavy rainfall. This is the tail end of what we think will be the rest of the storms for the night, though. That's the good news. As our data indicates, this will be kind of closing in on maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when we still may have a warning or two. Beyond that, though, things get quieter for your Sunday morning. That's the great news. Tulsa area has avoided the worst of the issues, but our news teams are out gathering information on the damage that has occurred around Claremore, Rogers County, Mays County, and those areas where we had a confirmed tornado earlier, and our storm teams have been out monitoring that. And so, of course, we'll bring you all the latest updates coming up on Fox 23 in the morning, starting at 6 o'clock with updates on where we're still seeing some big-time issues. Search and recovery efforts are underway, though, in Claremore, from what we understand, and a few other locations around there. So that's the grand overview. Once again, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings for our viewing area, the worst of which is in Nowata and now moving into Craig County with high winds. Primary concern, along with some very large hail, still possibly golf ball size, James.
And we take a look at the only warnings in our coverage area, severe thunderstorm warnings, northern parts of Craig County, and also moving out of Cherokee and into Adair County. We still have a tornado warning across the state line in Rogers County, and we can look into northern parts of Craig County right now. We have had some long-term and consistent circulation with it, but it is broad, and it looks like more of a wind-making thunderstorm than anything else. Also hail too, and potentially flash flooding. It's a big precip maker. You can see on radar. Let's take a look at hail again, right on the state line. A little bit more of this is creeping into northwestern parts of Craig County, but as we put a track on the storm continuing to move toward the east and moving pretty quickly too, that's going to be moving out of Labette County on into basically across parts of Craig County and then into Ottawa County. We can give you the early heads up in Miami at about 2:38. Neosho 209, Cocklebur Flat, Pyramid Corners, and Welch in Oklahoma 2, Commerce at 2:28. Officially, we still have a tornado watch that's in effect until 5 o'clock in the morning. That's basically east of Highway 75, but our main threat is east of Highway 69 and in extreme northern parts of Craig County now. These are the only 2 warnings we have in the Fox 23 coverage area right now. We will continue to watch closely that storm in northern Craig County. If it has any kind of indication that it will spin up another tornado or tornado warning, we will jump right back on the air. But for now, severe thunderstorm warning posted here. That's in effect for about another 30 minutes for Craig and Nowata County, but no tornado warning, and so far no strengthening of that rotation either. So as a reminder, Fox 23 will be back on the air with full severe weather team coverage starting at 6 o'clock on your Sunday morning. We'll be back on the air in the event of another tornado warning if one is issued.
And through the back, even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is